Hi, and welcome to The Social Angle, a podcast that helps promo pros gain an edge in the social media realm. I'm Vinny, and on this episode, I'm joined by Director of Content, Jeff Anderton of SnugZ USA, to discuss, yes, you guessed it, content. Video content, augmented reality content, social media content. Content is king, and I can't wait to get into this discussion. Jeff, welcome to The Social Angle.
Hey, thanks, Vinny. It's good to be here, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm a longtime fan, first time caller. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
So, how
Kind of
are
goes
things
both
out in
ways.
Utah today?
They're dry. I can't believe how much snow we don't have this year, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's sunny but I wish we'd have more snow,
Yeah, when
honestly.
when I think of Utah, I think of a lot of snow, and out in the Northeast here, we've been fairly dry in the Philadelphia area. We had snow a couple weeks ago, but it's almost gone already, and warmer temperatures. I'm like you, Jeff. I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more snow.
Yes, sir.
So before we get started, can you take a minute to introduce yourself, how long you've been with Snugs, and how you found yourself in the promo industry?
Yeah, you bet. I've been with Snugs now for almost 7 years, and I've been in the promo industry for almost my whole life. It seems like my brother and I were ski instructors, and we're always losing our lip balm back when we were in our 20s, and so we invented this little neoprene holder that would go around your lip balm, and next thing you know, we were selling to retail stores and Walmarts and pro shops around the country. And long story short, someone called and said, "Hey, can I put my logo on this?" And we're like, "Why would you want to do that?" And next thing you know, we discovered the promotional industry, and it was love at first sight. Honestly, we it was this hidden industry that is everywhere, but you don't know about it, and it was intriguing. And from there, we sold our company and started a video production company for a while, doing work for suppliers in the industry. And Snugs was one of my favorite people to work with. And one thing led to another, and I said if I was going to work for someone, it'd be someone like that. And next thing you know, we're moving to Salt Lake, and we've been here for 7 years, and it's been an amazing ride. Snugs has been wonderful to work with. They're very flexible with the amount of creativity freedom they give us, and sometimes they just close their eyes and say okay, and they let us do it, and it's been so much fun. And we've been able to do what our hearts content as far as creativity goes, and along the way, we've learned a lot, and the team we have now is unbelievable.
That's awesome, Jeff. And you mentioned the industry. It's the industry that's everywhere but nowhere. And that's how I kind of think about it, because I had no idea it existed when I started almost 15 years ago. Even though I saw it everywhere, but I just didn't realize this was, such a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
So Jeff, we're talking today about content, and you guys, do really good content. So you do case studies, trade shows, and of course, product videos. Snugs has obviously invested heavily into video content. As a director of content yourself, why is that, and what have been the results?
Well, we believe strongly in video because of the the power that it can carry, the emotional connection you can create. How can you describe a product better than through not still images, but really reaching in and grabbing that audience, and it can be a powerful tool if used correctly. But I like that you said the dynamic of content that we create is very important. I think it's fun to make the big branding movie videos, and those are important, and telling the product stories. But then you've also got to have the sales tools for all your salespeople, where it goes down to the details, and the more rougher video content. So I think I've really enjoyed where I am because there's that gamut of content, and I do believe that it's important to have a bit of it all and not just heavy in one area. You got to have those little chunks and the bigger chunks and the more educational chunks, and video allows you to fulfill all those needs in a very engaging and dynamic way that is difficult to do with most other mediums, I think.
Totally. And Snugs has kind of been on on the front lines of well-produced videos. And I remember a bunch of years back, we we did product video contests. And the first year we did it, you guys won with Zip It, which was an awesome video, playing off Devo's Whip It.
Yeah.
And then the second year, you guys won again with Germ Warfare.
Yeah.
And your videos were so well done. And I remember receiving them. And I was like, man, no one's going to beat these guys. The content is so good.
Well, we've been lucky. I think, again, the freedom we've been given has allowed us that creative edge. And they believed in what we were doing and didn't handcuff us and gave us some flexibility there. And I mean, some of like when you mention those, I just get a smile on my face because those creative meetings were amazing. And when you're allowed that kind of freedom, you're able to stretch yourself. And I think, you might even think we have a huge budget to do these, but when they give you that kind of freedom, I think we're all working 24 hours and we're loving it and everyone gets engaged and involved. And I think you pull talent out of places that you never would have found it before when you have that kind of environment to work in. So Snugs has been very instrumental in making all that happen. And the leadership there is just amazing. So
absolutely. So, I've stressed that your content is top shelf. There's production value. You have, edits like cuts and transitions. You have scripting, humor, soundtrack. Can you talk a little bit about how much effort goes into a creation of a typical video and how much equipment might be involved as well?
Yeah, and that varies. I mean, it depends on what we're making. And I think that's what's cool about the system that we've set up. If it's a product video, we've got those down. We could film those with our phone, especially with the phones that are out nowadays. And so it really depends. And audio is a challenge, so you need a little better gear if you want to do it right. But as far as the actual content, I think the biggest thing about making something great is not necessarily the gear that you have, but the creative behind it. I think if you have the right creative idea, you literally could go out with your phone and do something great, especially if you're shooting it creatively. You see TikTok and the things that people are doing with these simple tools are unbelievable these days. And I think thinking a little bit differently and creating, transitions with your phone and, blocking the camera. I mean, there's so much you can do that we used to do all in post. So to answer your question, it's all over the board. We do put a lot of effort depending on the type of content we're creating. We do have purpose behind each thing. If we are going to make a larger scale video, there's a message behind it. And we try to make something that's entertaining, but also is educating you at the same time. I think those are the most powerful when you enjoy what you're watching, but you're from a supplier standpoint or a marketer standpoint, you're getting a point across or a message across at the same time, but in an entertaining way. And that's going to stick and be more powerful than, hi, my name's Jeff, and this is this product. And not that those aren't valuable, but the audience appreciates it more, I think, when you go a little bit further and work a little harder. And personally, I enjoy that. And it comes through in our content when you're really having a good time and love what you do.
Right. So it varies then. And I like that you bring up the point about the phones. The phones have changed things so much in the last 10 years. It used to be that phone technology and quality of the smartphones wasn't so good. Now people are creating videos, high quality product videos, just using their phone.
Agreed. And again, we do have some great equipment. I'm not going to say that. And it really does come in. I believe in high production value, even on the simple things. I think if you look at influencers and the social world, they might want you to think that they're not putting a lot of effort into these, but you would be surprised on the good ones, even if they're just using a phone, how much work goes into creating some of this content and the tools that they have. Now, the tools have gotten better. Our lights are much smaller. Our lenses are much smaller. Our cameras are much smaller. So from the outside, it looks like it's not as crazy, but I know how much work goes into even the ones that look like they are simple videos.
Sure.
The production value is still there. And I believe a nice, polished, even lifestyle is important to your brand and to your customer base who's using that. And if we're trying to raise the level of what our distributor partners and the image that they're putting out there about the promotional industry, well, I believe that we need to provide them tools and content that reflects that. I mean, we want to work with agencies. Well, you got to give them good stuff, or they're, you can't get away with it. And we're putting this high bar for them, and I want to make sure that we're supporting them as much as what we're expecting from them.
Absolutely, Jeff. So let's talk a little bit about social media. It's an important part, of your brand. Can you tell us about how you integrate video into the mix and how it's been received?
Yeah, social media has been awesome. I mean, with all the different platforms and all the different ways that you can create content for those different platforms, it's been a very valuable tool for us, and being able to reach people on different levels and different ways with the same messaging. I think we're very strategic on how we use social media. We really formulate our plan and our message, and then try to deliver content specifically to each platform for, specific for how it's being viewed and received. We will go out and, with all of that in mind, have a larger shoot. Now, from that same shoot, we've been able to do still photography, video, and we've got cameras that shoot in portrait mode. And so we really try to maximize how much we can capture in that one shoot and bring it all back and get it out there. So we're getting as much value out of those dollars that we're spending on those shoots as possible. As far as how it's been received, I think it's been amazing. I mean, through all these years, the feedback and the responses, the engagement has gone through the roof with all the content we're creating. And all we ever hear is more, we want more, we want more. And that's good and bad. I mean, the amount of content that people want compared to 5 years ago is, as you know, Vinny, is unbelievable. It's gone through the roof. We shoot a lot, and we're still probably 50% as much as I would want, and
Wow.
that the industry could handle, in my opinion. So,
But yeah, you touch on, what the people are looking for, and video is what people look for on social media. Maybe look for is not the right phrase. Video is what people stop for. And I think,
yes,
during the
yeah,
scroll, people scroll. They're inundated, feeds are saturated. What's going to make people stop?
yeah,
Video.
video.
And I think Snugs has known that for a long time. You guys, when I scroll through my feed and I see one of your videos, I stop. I mean, it's just something that I do, and I stop for most videos. But I've noticed in probably the last couple of years, probably since even before the pandemic started, there's a push on social media to create less scripted and polished videos and more live and unfiltered content. And it almost kind of is the opposite of high production value. It's grainy, it's lo-fi, it's hey, who's going to make a video of, the CEO who is just being real, just on the phone. So has Snugs jumped into the live and unfiltered game, or are you guys still focused on high production value?
No, I mean, again, like I said before, even those from the right companies, they're more production than you probably realize, even those live and unscripted ones. But no, I totally agree. I think what those do is they show a more authenticity than some of the scripted stuff. And I think the mixture of those are very important. And I believe in that style 100%. I love that kind of content. I love the realness and I want to really see who you are. I don't want a commercial. And there's a time and place for those commercials where it's like, here's the product details, here's what you need to know. But there's a time where I really want to see who you are. And I think that style of content opens, those curtains and shows the behind the scenes of who that company really is. And that's how we connect with people. That's who you become, not a company, but a face and a real person. And I think that's what our audiences are looking for. They want to know who you really are and not necessarily who you want everyone to think you are.
And I think that's a very good distinction, Jeff. And, I kind of preach that here too. Be real, be human. Don't worry about the ums. If you drop your water bottle on a live video, that's all good, man. We can all relate to that, right?
And honestly, I love it because we're not perfect. And I mean, just this would have been too difficult for me 5 years ago, really difficult.
Sure.
Like, I'm like, well, we need to edit. I said a lot of ums in that, and I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's okay. And
Yep.
I think there's a time and place for it. And people to see who you really are is okay, and I think desired.
Even if you drop, well, I'm not going to say an F-bomb, but if you curse, we've had people curse on some of the podcasts and even on some of the lives that we do. And that
I don't believe that shit.
I don't believe that shit either, Jeff.
Sorry,
but it's funny that you say that. I'll never forget the very first time we were running the ASI radio show years ago, very first show, 2008. And we came off the actual show. We were supposed to cut it, but there was a delay, and Joe Haley dropped an F-bomb, and everybody was listening. And there was such a negative response to that internally, like, oh my God, somebody said an F-bomb. Now it's like, it's not as frowned upon, being real, being human. We're all adults in this industry. And there's a guy, Javi, you probably know him. Javi Melendez, he does a lot of TikToks, and he curses all the time. And he's like, hey, look, if you're offended, too bad. Like, this is real. This shows our frustration about things like supply chain, things about, whatever it is that he's complaining about. And there's a lot to complain about sometimes. And he's very real, and people appreciate that, and they love it.
Right. Especially these days. You hit it on the head. I think with the pandemic, things got real, and people just be real with me. Don't show me your fake face, because I don't buy it anymore. And I really want to know who you are as a person. I think it's okay. I think we've become more okay with things. And being flawed is not a problem. And it's not, because everyone is, right? And I see you as a human now, not as a personality.
And I think people appreciate that, and they relate to it. And when they see frustration with somebody else that they can relate to, they're like, I totally get that person. So Jeff, let's talk about Swagger. Snugs recently released augmented reality service. Can you tell us what it is and how it works?
Yes, this is something I'm very excited about. I know Snugs as a whole is as well, but I think, like with video, the whole point is to engage and immerse your audience in a deeper, more meaningful way. And I think as video has evolved, we've been able to do that more and more, but we're always searching for that next better way to do it. And AR's been around for a while. It's not really a new technology, but not in the promotional industry. And we didn't want it to be a marketing gimmick. We really wanted it to be something that has utility and has usefulness, as I believe video does. And we have been working for a long time on how exactly to make that happen. And I think we've hit it. We've created a new tool called Swagger. It's Swagger, but with the AR on the end. I'm trying to tie the two into it.
Sure.
It's specific for the promotional industry. We've created AR objects, which is basically a 3D object, but you're able to scan a QR code, and everyone knows how to do that now, and take that product and drop it right onto your desktop, and it looks real. It is unbelievable. And I've been around AR for a long time, but the first time I took one of our products and grabbed it off the screen and placed it on that table in front of me, and it was awesome. And it was the most simple object, but it really allows your audience, your distributors, your customers to really see that product. So as far as usefulness, you can take a 2D image now and have it right in front of you in real life, placed in your environment. And that is not something they're going to forget anytime soon. I think as far as an experience, it ups that level 100 times, just like a good video would, or they're going to talk about that. They're going to share that. And I think it's very impactful. And what we can do with these tools are going to be unbelievable. I'm so excited for where it's going. I'm very excited about what we've done right now. We've integrated into our website, into flyers and emails. We're allowed distributors, our distributor partners, to take those QR codes and use it in their own marketing tools. Like, look how we're meeting right now. A lot of things are done virtually.
Sure.
I mean, right now you could scan that QR code. if
Right.
I could get it to focus, and pull it right off the screen and right in front of you of whatever we're talking about. And these are going to be powerful tools. The next steps are virtual sampling. Can you imagine if I can now take different logos and change those out and allow distributors to send those out as instead of a flyer or
Sure.
an email? Think of the impact this is going to have, and I think the more people use it and experience it themselves, the more they're going to get excited about it and hopefully start using it on a regular basis.
Yeah, I tried it out. We wrote an article about Swagger a week or two ago, and I said I got to check this out. So I went to Snugs.com, and I searched Swagger, and I found a couple of your products that were enabled, and I tried it out, and I was like you said, desktop. We're talking physical desktop, not your virtual
Not
desktop.
your computer, right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. It's like this mug was sitting right on my desktop, and you can kind of see it in 3D, and it's really cool. So, how much effort is involved in the development of something like this?
It's been a ride, only because we're trying to build a system and not just, if you build one-offs, it's easy. You can figure
Sure.
it out pretty quick. But when you're thinking large scale and efficiencies and cost efficiencies, you really have to dive in and really figure out the right ways to do it. And it's been some work, but we're there. We feel like we're ready to go at scale at this. But there's going to be, because it's newer, there will be, I predict, a lot of changes even in the next year on how we do things.
Sure.
And we're already 50% more efficient than we were 2 months ago.
Right,
So
right.
that efficiencies, they're happening quickly. And then we're building a team and a decent sized learning curve, which is challenging at first, but just like there was with video. Now
Sure.
everyone's doing it on their phone. Who would have
Absolutely.
thought, So
Yep.
this is coming, and it will be a thing without question. I think we are one of the first that I know about that are really trying to implement it on a larger scale with support and education. And we're really trying to do it right and find the ways that really make a difference to the bottom line for everyone, and not just a marketing thing. But how is this going to make your life easier? How is this going to improve your ability to share these products with your customer or give more insight on a product? Or, you're really able to see that product and it's spin it around, see every angle right there in front of you. That's very unique. You can make spec samples, but that's not possible all the time.
Right.
This is instantaneous and right in front of you and impactful, which is the point of our entire industry, is making creating those moments, something that they're going to remember.
Yeah, and it's funny because before the pandemic, I don't think AR has been around, and we were mindful of it, just like we were mindful of QR codes 10 years ago.
Right.
But I think the pandemic has accelerated
Absolutely.
technology in this industry. We talk about, prior to you and I recording, we were talking about, hey, we would have never done this type of podcast recording prior to the pandemic. Technology has advanced because of the pandemic, and we're at a point where people are doing so many things virtually, and I agree with you. I think this type of technology will become mainstream in this industry at some point. I'm not sure when. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said probably not for a while. How long do you think until this is mainstream?
Well, when you see what we're going to be able to do with these objects, because another way that we're able to justify the resources and the effort and the time into these is how much we can do with these same objects. It's not just about these AR objects, but when you have a 3D object now, you can use it in our videos. We can use it in web banner ads. We can use it in product configurators. When you start seeing the power of these objects, then all of a sudden the cost of creating that object diminishes dramatically, and it's much easier to find that ROI than it would have been if it was just used for that one thing. Now, as far as a sales tool, right now, what we've done, just this lowest level of the technology, is still pretty amazing, and I think will make an impact just in itself. As far as when is this going to become mainstream, well, we need other suppliers to start doing it, I think.
Sure.
And we know that these tools are being developed with Adobe alone has created, you should see the effort they're putting behind the tools needed to create this. And I think the more that becomes a thing, Facebook's going into Meta, and
Sure.
this is going to become faster. This is going to come to us faster than what I think everyone thinks. And I think all of a sudden you're going to blink. And if you're not starting to research this now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, now we got to get behind it and create all this stuff quickly. That's why we're trying to do it now. Because by the time it is, hopefully by the end of the year, you start seeing more and more of this. And then by next year, I think there'll be multiple suppliers into this, even creating lifestyle images with these objects. I wait till you see what's possible. And once that's known, it's going to blow up. So we're just trying to get ahead of the curve and have time to figure out what to do with it and how to do it, and educate our customers and our distributors, and put those tools in their hands and really be at the forefront of this new technology. Because I've been excited about this for so long, but we had to wait. The hardware had to be there.
Yeah.
Now anyone can do it if you have a phone.
Totally.
And it's cross-platform, and you don't need to download an app, which has been a huge thing for us too. We didn't want you to have to download an application.
That adding that extra step really kind of, that's the step that a lot of people don't want to go into, like, oh, I got to download an app. I don't want to do that. So Jeff, congratulations on this. It's a really cool tool, but not only cool, it's utilitarian. It's got, a purpose, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Awesome. We are too, Vinny. I think we're very excited, as you can see.
So I have a couple more questions, Jeff, and you and I can talk forever. So can you give a little bit of advice for anyone who is struggling with coming up with creative ideas for content in the promo industry?
Well, one, I don't think that's uncommon. I mean, we've got to come up with new creative ideas every single day, especially with, I don't care if you're the most creative person in the world, that's a challenge. And for me, I've got my go-to. I have to be out. I have to be looking. I have to be around different people. And I've got my group where we'll get together and we'll just talk. And a lot of them have nothing to do with the industry. They tell me about what projects they're working on, and vice versa. And then these conversations spark ideas. But when your brain's there, everything you look at, I look outside and a truck's driving down the road. It inspires. There's ways, but it's an effort. You have to be out there, and it has to be something on your mind on a regular basis. Everything I look at, everything I read, it triggers a new idea, or it can trigger a new idea. But it's typically, I surround myself with great people, and always ask about what they're doing, what they're working on. I'm watching movies all the time. I'm watching commercials. There's inspiration everywhere you look. You just have to be in the mindset to be doing that. And you know what else has been a thing is to have fun. That's something for me. If I'm out there having a good time, even if I'm out skiing and in that right mode, it's difficult for me to be creative if I'm not in that fun mindset. And it might be different for others, but surround yourself with positive people that are having a good time, that love to talk about different things, and expose yourself to different people and different experiences. And that will drive creativity every day if you're out searching for it.
And I love that you said fun. And I preach that so much on this podcast, because when you create content, especially content for social media, that is fun, even if it has nothing to do with this industry, you're going to get more engagement in that than you actually would think. Because most people, and I'm going to say most without having scientific proof, but most people go to social media to take some time away from work.
Yeah,
they're going to social media to be entertained. And when they stumble across a video that is in the promotion products industry, and it's maybe it's a funny video that's playing off of a trend, maybe it's the CEO telling a joke, something that has nothing to do with the industry, people are going to embrace that. And I try to preach that as much as possible. Have fun with social media. Don't be too buttoned up. Enjoy yourself. Like you said, inspiration is everywhere. I find inspiration in watching what others are doing on social media. And people may say, oh, well, that's plagiarism. Well,
no way.
Isn't social media just all plagiarism, all the trends? Everyone's just playing off of each other. And I love to see a great piece of content. And I say, you know what, that would be a great thing to do. give it a promotional product spin somehow. And that to me, I think has worked a lot. Creativity is everywhere. Jeff, I love that answer. So I got a final fun question for you. And I always end the podcast with a final fun question. Okay. You're a video guy. You obviously have a lot of experience. You have a great eye for content. If you could work with one famous director on a video, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to immediately, Wes Anderson came to mind, and I'll tell you why. Oh my gosh, if you sit down and watch one of his movies, like
absolutely
the framing,
the
color palettes, it's art. Every single scene is art, and I know that's well out of the bounds of what we do every day, but it doesn't have to be. You can apply these same concepts to what you do, and the script alone is art. Every single word that comes out of an actor's mouth, you can tell he spent hours on, and it's every single shot, every frame. It's beautiful. And like, what's one of, the hotel, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. We don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I sat down in the theater. I watched that in the theater in Philadelphia, by the way. I was with my daughter. And every single scene, every single shot, every angle, I was like, I came out of there tingling. And every single thing he does it seems to be that way. And it's just art. It's just art. It's true art. And the Coen brothers, of course, is one of my other favorites. Their humor and their style, everything about it, I just love it.
Yeah, my favorite is Darjeeling Limited. I feel like that is, and a lot of people don't like that film. I don't know why, but I think that is my favorite Wes Anderson film. But you're right. Oh, like he is a master at creating very artistic scenes and movies, and I would go with Wes Anderson too. I mean, of course, there's a lot of
so many
other directors that you can quote there, but that's a great answer. And Jeff, thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. It's been really insightful. I really enjoyed learning about what you do, how long you've been involved in this industry. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, can you give the contact information?
Yeah, you bet. You can email me at jeff@snugzusa.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. And I'd give you my cell number, but then I'd probably not a good idea. But
I think your email address is
email's
fine. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I love this stuff, and CJ, like Vinny, I could talk to you about this stuff all day long, and it's just exciting. And what I love is that we can stay this energized about what we do, and in an industry that people might find boring after some time. And I love that how much creative there is here, and they're all around us. And there's so many creatives all around in this industry, and I love it. And speaking with you today has been awesome. I'm energized for the rest of the day right now, and
totally
I appreciate you having me on. This has been great.
Absolutely. And I'd even argue that when I first joined the industry, I was sort of bored by it because I didn't understand it. And as I've gotten to learn the industry, and I've seen the people in it, and I've seen the products and the innovation and the ideas, it's inspiring. There's so many creative people in this industry, so many people doing great stuff. There's a move towards sustainability. There's a lot of very intelligent people trying to do really great things in this industry. And like you said, it motivates you. It's fun, it's creative, and it's an amazing industry.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, Jeff, thank you again so much.
You're welcome. Thanks again.
We'll see you next time on The Social Angle. Boom, that was great, Jeff.
Cool. Thank you, Vinny.
I could